For 3 years in the 1980s, and for a brief time in 2015, I lived and taught in several different Inuit communities in Nunavik. As a 23-year-old, the clash between my received world and values and those of a people informed by the ancestral wisdom of thousands of years was stark. When I returned home around 1986, friends insisted I write about the experience. It was new, it was unique, it was exotic. But I couldn't. I felt it would be betraying the people who had come to trust me. 15 years later, having digested the experience, I responded to CBC Radio's invitation to write 13 minutes of new poetry for a show called Home and Away. Little did I know they'd become the first poems in a new book. Published in 2002, the collection may be problematic for the cancel culture of today if it isn't put into proper context. Some of the poems in it are written from the colonizer's perspective and in their voice. Some are in the voice of the naive white person visiting an unfamiliar world. Arctic flight. January limped in like an old crone. Haggard snow, a weak pulse of sky through the skinny trees. All last fall, the graveyard leached into the water table. Leaves wallowed in their own waste. Soon, even the birds were spent. I myself flew into exile, way north of the trees with a knapsack and a bottle of brandy in my eiderdown coat. Stared from the small plane as my fissured, brown, liver-spotted town vaporized in the dark air. And when I woke, the world had accumulated again outside my window. The strapping, white freshness of it, shuttling life back into my eyes. Well, this is my first snowstorm experience. It's called Postcard Home, Delirium. Anyone sane would ask the question, what's a choppy 8mm film doing outside my window? And who are those wind-blown actors flying across my screen, sped up, grainy, clutching one another for dear life? The phones are dead, so I'm writing you this, huddled against a lantern with my flask of southern comfort. Listen. Can you hear it? Flapping celluloid, the crinkled -60 air. Trust me, this is no bit part, it's the role of a lifetime. Mummy in a sleeping bag staving off the chilled. Never mind. I could have been an ice cube or a solitary flake. Blue breath frost on the earth's white brain. Haven't seen the sun in months. Wish you, it, were here. I remember when I was doing my student teaching at McGill, we got to go we got to go. 7 of us were chosen to go and do our student teaching in the north, and I was lucky enough to be selected to go to Saluit, which was the first community in the north I'd been to. I spent 5 weeks there doing my student teaching. I almost failed it, but that's another story. We were told before we left that if anyone ever invited us to go out on the land, we should take advantage of that opportunity. And as it happened, one of the older students, not one of mine, knocked on my door one Saturday morning and said, "Hey miss, you want to go hunting?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I went with him. We left early in the morning and we went out to the middle of I don't know where, nowhere, and what I thought was nowhere. And when I came back, I was so excited. I'd never had, it was like a religious experience, or the best drug experience you could have. And I just wanted to write it all down, capture it, being a writer. And all I could do was open my journal and write, wow, wow, wow. That's all I wrote. So many years later, I wrote this. Naming it the best day of my life, I was recalling the trapped wind in my boots, my ballooning hood, the prudish moon spying down on us from the sky. I wanted to record the drama in my heart, my head, winged burst of light, the whirling. I wanted language, Orwellian precision. The words spiral, concentric, ringed pelvic heat. I wrote and wrote, grabbed challenge by the throat, wanting it all on paper, frozen, a moment in time exactly. Fresh dung on the snow, curled heap of earth and steam. My lips and tongue rounding your fingers, oil, blood, the snared fox in my mouth, dithering. And finally, from this collection, snow formations. Pale light drifts over puffs of snow, tugging at the eye, the sleepy heart. Your hand travels into mine, tracing every line and curve. Even in death, there is life, you say. Listen to the way silence fills up with silence. Listen to the dunes